I finished Bloodmarked the other day off camera. I had maybe like 100 pages left since I last talked to you about it, and I think everything I said in my last video still stands true. I am very confident. I don't think I'm going to continue with the series. I think this really just solidified that I wasn't really into it as much as I thought I was. The ending was yeah, the ending was kind of confirmed for me that I don't think I want to continue. Another thing that bothered me was the characters in themselves were just not doing anything for me. I feel like there was a lot of arguments that were happening between two characters that it was just almost the same argument every time. One of the characters is just not present at all. Then like the other two side characters that we have, which I know they're supposed to be a little bit more endearing, like th we should be, like, caring about them, but it felt like they were there to not really provide any, like, emotional value rather than they needed to be there for the main character. One of I guess to explain, one of them is, like, a healer, has, like, medicinal, like, energy and can heal, and so it felt very convenient that our main character was always getting into these situations where she needs to be healed or she needs some type of intervention with like something going on with her powers. And so that character didn't feel like I was like organically part of the group. It was more like, oh, he's here to just heal her. And that's it. So I wasn't convinced by the group of characters that we have. The first book, again, I think was much more enjoyable to me. The second book is almost felt unnecessary. And with the length of it, I thought, oh, we were gonna like get a lot of action, a lot of plot, like a lot of plot will be moving forward. But I don't know. I just felt like nothing was getting done, and I just wasn't convinced with any of the relationships. I was getting frustrated with a lot of the arguments that were happening, and I don't know, it felt like nothing was really developed. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say about Bloodmarked. I'm gonna try to figure out what I wanna read next. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be something a little bit shorter per se. I feel like lately I've been reading a lot of longer books, and I think it's not helping with my attention span and just my enjoyment reading. So I might pick up some short books, which I have.
I've narrowed down which two books I want to read next after finishing Bloodmarked. So either it's reading cozy fantasy romance or read something that I think is going to be very emotionally devastating but very eye-opening. I I think I want to go for emotionally devastating today. It's already almost 12 and I'm just getting my coffee in for the day, but I wanted to check in real quick because I read a good amount of The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison last night. I actually was sitting on our couch and I binged almost 170 pages. I'm on 168 right now. And if you know where I am in the book, this is kind of where the climax of the story is happening, I would say. And part of it you do know in the very beginning. Like the big part of, I think, what the story is gonna kind of revolve around at the end of it, you do know in the very beginning. And it's like pretty shocking and devastating at the same time. I was reading it last night and then it got close to when I was going to bed and I didn't want to finish it and read the rest of it before I went to bed. So I forced myself to stop and then now I'm going to read it. I think I might read outside. It is supposed to rain in a little bit, but we have a covered back porch, so I might just sit outside for a little bit and maybe finish this. I think I have 30 pages left, so whatever that is, that's literally the entire book. I'm pretty scared, I would say, and I know emotionally it's going to ruin me because the very beginning has already been very jarring, devastating. And then also there is a lot of self-reflection for the reader as well. And yeah, I think I'm getting all of the emotions, but it is written very well. I didn't think I would get into it when I first read the first, I would say, chapter. I was a little out of it for the first chapter, but then as I kept going, I just could not put this down. Something about the writing, the pacing of the story, and all the information that we're getting were written so well that I just needed to know. And it wasn't like every chapter ended on like a cliffhanger or anything like that. It was just when you know these characters and you know sort of what the outcome is going to be, but you don't know what the emotional outcome is. You just know this was the action and the buildup of it. You just keep wanting to read it. It's insane how much I read last night because if you know me, I'm a very slow reader. It takes me a really long time to get through a book, but I started this yesterday. I'm going to finish it today. So although it is only 200 pages, that might be it too. But it has drawn me in so much more than I thought. But yeah, I'm pretty scared and devastated to know what's going to be happening next. I just finished reading The Bluest Eye. Yeah, this was me earlier. When I finished it, I had to take 15-20 minutes of just staring into nothing. And then I had a shower, go through it all because this book actually made me so unwell. I knew it was going to be very emotionally charged and have a lot of depth, but the back of this book is just a drop of what you're getting yourself into. It was so I don't even know what to say. It was so emotionally disturbing, I would say. And the things that were going on was the things that were going on are heartbreaking. It was how do I put into words of this book? It was both telling a story and doing the whole narrating, all of that, but it was also making you as a reader have self-reflection of your role in the systems that are being played out today.
it was so well done, in my opinion. I think Toni Morrison really just hit it out of the park with this book. I'm actually astounded. And I don't know, I know I'm going to think about this book a lot. And I read it pretty fast. I read it in 2 sittings. And I know with books that are a little bit more politically charged, a little bit emotionally charged, like you want to sit with the book and but I don't know, I just couldn't stop reading it. It was just written in a way that had me needing to know how this was all going to play out because you get different fragments of stories and you have one narrator. So you have one main narrator. She is actually a neighbor of the main, I guess I would say the main character, Pecola Breedlove, is who we're kind of revolving around the story. However, we never get the point of view from Pecola. We only get it from her neighbor, and then we kind of get like a third person point of view for when we're following other characters and their backstories. And so the story is a little bit fragmented. So you get, of course, you get the neighbor, and then you get like the family of Pecola, and then you get, you know, some other members in their community. But the I was not like put out by the way that was being done. I know some people were not very happy that the narration was done in that way. However, I didn't feel like there was like a disconnect. It was I to me it felt like it was very fluid. It moved the story so well. But yeah, I couldn't put this down. I Everyone needs to read this book. I would definitely read the trigger warnings because it is not written in the back. I have another one of her books, Beloved, on my physical TBR. I almost want to start it, but I think I also want to save it to kind of have it as an in-between book. And I know she has quite a few books in her backlist, but I think this was her debut novel when she was putting these out, what, in like the 70s? That's insane. But yeah, I think I'm gonna save some of her books to kind of like read in between. But yeah, I wish I'd read this sooner, but I'm glad I read it regardless. That's all I can say. Now the question is, what do I read next? Because how do you read another book after reading The Bluest Eye? I don't know. I was thinking maybe I read Paladin's Grace. That was my other choice between that or The Bluest Eye, but I don't know if I want to get into like a fantasy. I I'm like looking at all my books I have right now, and I don't know, it's tough. I have The Door by Magda Szabo, and that's been kind of calling me. So I might read like the first chapter, and maybe not a chapter because I don't know how long they are, but I might read the first few pages and see if I'm into that. If not, then maybe I'll read Paladin's Grace. So yeah, we will see. Can I show you some of the things I've grown in my garden? We just have so many green beans. I don't know what to do with myself with all these green beans. We've given some away, but this is all green beans or purple pole beans. And I don't want to tip it over because there's so much. And then of course, 2 tiny cucumbers. But the The market cucumbers are doing the most this year. These are massive, like my forearm. That's crazy, right? These are just a few from today and yesterday. We've probably grown, I don't know, like 6, 9, 12 of them since the start of the season. They're pretty prolific. I didn't think that market moors would be that prolific just because they're on the larger side of cucumbers. But yeah, these are massive. Oh my God, Bean, hello. Yeah, you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Oh my goodness, big girl. You want to say hi? No. No, it's dinner time. It's getting close to dinner time, isn't it? She might be meowing in the background. I wanted to update you a little bit on my current read. So I did start Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. I'm about 144 pages in. I think there's like 240 pages, so I'm about 100 pages away from finishing it. And would I recommend this book? I would need to know what kind of books you would read before recommending it. I am enjoying my time with it. I am coming at it with a different perspective than when I first started this book, because I did try to read it before and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know how to describe the book besides, again, like nothing really happening. Sometimes the letters don't really, there's not a lot of, things going on, but I think this book is supposed to kind of teach you to be slow, teach you to be reflective, and be more aware of some of the smaller actions that you take and how that will then affect the outcome of your life, someone else's life. This book is about Reverend John Ames, and he is writing letters to his 7-year-old son because he is at the end of his life. So he has an illness and he is sort of just living at end of life care. He's writing these letters to make up for the fact that when his son gets older, his son, he's not going to be able to pass on any stories, any lessons he's learned to his son. So we are getting small stories of the Reverend John Ames's life, but we're also getting more present, I would say in this timeline, a more present day reflections that he has. So there is no linear like plot point in this. It's just a bunch of letters. Some of them will be a story that he's reflecting upon, and then the next letter can be something that happened to him that day, or he noticed something about his son or something like that. So it's very all over the place, but not every letter will have like some deeper meaning. I mean, you can always take something away, but some of it is literally just him rambling about a story, his grandfather, his father. And so far with this, we are getting a little bit more depth to his character. I feel like when you read about a reverend, because some of this is rooted in Christianity, when you learn about a reverend, you think about, being pure, being holy, being like a very revered person in your community. But he really writes about his vulnerability, about sometimes like his contempt with the world, with things like, having envy of a family, someone having a family, somebody having a wife and kids, et cetera, et cetera. So, and also it seems like it's not 100% rooted in like the teachings of Christianity, but also of like the natural world, of the inevitability of communication with different types of people. So I enjoy that aspect of it. Some of it is like really like, some of it can be a little bit preachy, but I think because we are reading the letters of a reverend, you just can't escape that. And there is a lot more humor in this than I thought. It's not saying it's going to be like a laughing matter at every single letter, but there's like a little bit more, when you get a little bit more into his vulnerable side, or when he's confessing to some things, like it can be like a little bit funny. But I'm on the fence if this is something I would recommend, because I can see this being very boring to some people. It was very boring to me in the very beginning. I don't know, it just became a little bit more enjoyable for me when I was just interested in the Reverend's like life, what he has to say about some of his stories. And I think also the way he writes letters is the way I would love to journal. The way he recalls memories or the way he recalls like a current event that he saw happen to him earlier that day, it feels like he's writing in a journal. And I would love to be able to recall and recollect and write in that way in my own journal if I was like writing about like a day-to-day situation. I'm hoping to finish this 100 pages. Can I read that all that today? I don't know. You guys know me, I'm a very slow reader. The last two books, this book, and then I just finished The Bluest Eye. It's been what, 2 days since I finished Bluest Eye, and I started this yesterday. So I'm kind of flying through these books, and so if that says anything about those two books, maybe you should pick them up. We'll see. I finished reading Gilead by Marilynne Robinson yesterday, and I talked about this book earlier, and more of the same. I enjoyed the book. I think if it was any longer than what it is, I might have been a little bit more bored with at the end. Towards the beginning, I wasn't super interested in anything that was really going on, but I would say maybe like a third of the way through, I don't know, like suddenly all of the characters felt very real to me. I was like interested and invested in knowing more about John Ames, like his family, the dynamic, and also just like the people in his community. So I really don't know how that happened. I don't think I can explain it really, but I think when he is telling his stories and recalling his like memories, especially with his father and grandfather, you see a lot of him being very vulnerable, very real, and not worried about being judged. And so when he is speaking about his real feelings he was having and being like super unfiltered about it, it just feels so much more human. It and like he wasn't worried about being judged. He was just being very honest when he's writing these letters. The end of the book, I would say maybe the last like 50 pages, it does become a little bit more linear. There is weirdly like a storyline you're following with him like in real time. Yeah, I think I caution recommending this because I know it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. If I had read this, I guess in any other time, I think I would have DNF'd it. I think maybe within 25 pages I would have DNF'd it. I read some really good books this week, and I feel like I'm getting back into reading a little bit more now. I think what's helping is I'm reading shorter books, and so going hopping from one story to another just feels, I don't know, I feel like my brain is like a little bit more activated that way. I don't know if that's a saying or anything like that, but I'm probably going to pick up the book club book for me and my friend. We chose it the other day when I met up with her, but we're going to read The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I read the short story that she wrote. What was it? The Six Deaths of the Saints? The Seven Deaths of the Saints? I'm not sure. I think it's the sixth death of the Saints. I really enjoyed that. So this will be the other book. I haven't read anything else by her. So this will be the other book that I pick up. But yeah, Thanks for hanging out with me this week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.